Hi there. So I'm going to talk about horticultural therapy because that's my career choice, and this class has definitely influenced my ability to be a quality horticultural therapist. I think social justice is something that we talk about in horticultural therapy, but not so explicitly. And we just talk a lot about precautions and being aware of someone's cultural context and asking the right questions so we don't make assumptions. I think this class helped me put some of that into perspective. I really appreciate that we read that paper by Bronfenbrenner because I was able to connect with ecological systems theory in a more direct way instead of just with through other teachers or other um, articles, interpretations of him and his theory. I'm working with seniors in a retirement community right now, doing a facilitated horticultural therapy project over Zoom, which is very interesting. But I enjoyed where we talked about aging in different cultures, and I very recently, pretty much due to horticulture therapy, became more interested in aging in our country, and I chose to examine uh, my father's country, my grandparents' country, the Czech Republic, because a lot of transitions have happened there, and I wanted to know more about aging specifically because I've just heard the more general stories of our history there. And so I appreciate the ability to explore what it's like for seniors and to realize that this isn't the only country where we have so many seniors. Other places we might have a lot here, but we also have plenty of young people to take care of them, even if it's not their own families. There's enough young people to hire to work at retirement communities here, and there just isn't in some European countries. So that was really interesting. I think the discussion that was the most poignant for me was one that we didn't really have, but I talked a little bit about it, was agricultural societies. I think it was week 7. We just did a check-in instead, and I was really excited for this because of my roots in gardening and regenerative agriculture. I really believe that there's a deep connection between human health and the health of the ecosystem. And it was really interesting how we addressed gender during, or how the textbook, we didn't really, but how the textbook addressed gender in this um, context, because it said that a lot of gender inequality is rooted in the agriculture society, but I have a belief that it's a lot more in our recorded history of how agriculture came to be. Because although most people live a pretty sedentary life, we also have a lot more people on this planet. And so, really, I think there's still a pretty large um, group of people, or not group, but a population, a subpopulation that are fairly mobile. And that would include myself because I live in a tiny house trailer and I move around a lot, and I think that that is a lifestyle. You know, I have a garden, but it's in pots. It's not in the ground, and I plant things in the ground at other people's houses, but in their yards or on farms, and I help out. So I get to work the land, but it's very different. So the more connected you are to the land, the more you can see um, how a sedentary life is valuable to be able to like grow your own food. But with our modern society, a lot of people aren't growing their own food, and we have grocery stores everywhere. So people are able to move around, and a lot of people are working online. Obviously, with COVID, there's not a lot of travel, but there's still a good amount of people that don't have to stay where they are. And I think that it's important to address that. And so, back to the gender issues, or my issues with how gender is recorded in the agriculture societies, is our textbook said that a lot of inequality for women is rooted in this. And I don't really necessarily believe that's true. I think obviously, if families have social dynamics within them, then the woman might feel stuck at home and might feel like she has to take care of the children or this or that. But I really think that a lot of couples had a very balanced lifestyle. I know many couples, and the woman has a lot of power in the household. And I know that this is today, but I actually believe that this has happened for a long time, and that in farming communities, there's been some of the most equality between women and men because they really need each other. And I think that actually, since we've become city people, our inequality towards women has increased overall. Now, maybe women on farms couldn't vote, but that doesn't mean that within the household they didn't get a say in things. Especially if they were raising the children and the men weren't around, they were going to have a lot of say in things. And I think that paradigm of the patriarchy that people are afraid of, that um, the man still rules the house when he's not around. And I don't think that was necessarily always true in these agriculture properties. And so again, that's like the transition from uh, a transient life, it's not the best word, but a mobile life, um, to a sedentary life, didn't really address, like within the textbook, didn't really address the fact that that transition has happened all over the world and is still happening over the world, and people are also going the other direction. And I think people are going from sedentary lives their whole childhood to then becoming a more mobile person. And I think that it's important to obviously take the textbook with a grain of salt because it's very narrow, but I think that we had a great opportunity to read so many other good articles in this class to get a pretty holistic perspective of justice. And I think that's all the questions. This has definitely made me think differently or interpret differently the justices faced by families today, because I think we did a good job of kind of looking at different issues separately, but also seeing how they're interconnected and practicing looking at the cultural context of things. And again, I think the faces of power was really important for me to be able to put words to that, because I've noticed those different things and I wasn't really exactly sure how to interpret those different faces of power. So learning about that was really great for me. I had a great semester. Thank you.